Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2016 Buick Envision, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Curt Class III Trailer Hitch Receiver. So one of the really nice things about this hitch is that whenever you're not using it, it's going to be completely hidden. It's not going to affect the looks of your Buick at all. And that's because we have this small removable panel here. So whenever we take this off, we can gain access to our hitch. There's really not much to it either. There's this one T15 Torx bit fastener on each corner. You just pop those out. We can just grab our panel and pop it down. Now we're going to have full access to our hitch, and we can either connect our bike rack, cargo carrier, ball mount, whatever accessory we need to install. So the first couple of things I did notice about the hitch is that it's going to give us really good ground clearance. It sits up nice and tight against our Envision, and so that should work out real well for those of you that use cargo carriers and things like that. Just keeps it nice and high off the ground. Something to keep in mind though, especially if you plan on using folding accessories, the hitch does kind of sit a little bit further back behind our bumper, so we don't have excellent clearance when it comes to that. So whenever you use those folding accessories, you want to think about that. That way, if you put them in that upright position, you're not going to want them to contact the back of your Buick. So this is a Class III hitch, so it's going to give us that 2" by 2" receiver tube opening. That is an extremely common size, so you shouldn't have any issues finding pretty much any accessory you would want to use. It's going to have the standard 5/8 pinhole. Now keep in mind, a pin and clip does not come included, but if you need one, you can pick it up here at eTrailer. We're going to have loop style safety chain openings, which give us enough room to use just about any size hook that we might have. As far as the weight capacities go, the hitch is going to have a 525-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating. So that's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. That's a pretty high number, and you should be able to use just about any size bike rack or cargo carrier that you would want to. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, it's going to be 3,500 pounds. And that's going to be the amount of weight that's pulling on the hitch. So it is the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. Now I do always like to recommend, it's never a bad idea just to grab your Buick's owner's manual to make sure your Envision can pull that much weight safely. Now if you do plan on doing some towing, I would suggest picking up some trailer wiring. That way the lights on your trailer will sync up with the lights on your Buick and you'll be safe and legal. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements, and you're going to use these to help figure out which hitch mounted accessories to get. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 16.5 inches. So if you do plan on doing some towing, chances are pretty good you're going to need to get a ball mount with either a straight shank or a very slight raise. From the center of the hitch pinhole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 6 inches. And you're going to use that measurement to help figure out that if any folding accessories you might have can be stored in that upright position without contacting the bumper. So at the end of the day, hitch you really can't go wrong with. It's made right here in the USA, and it's going to be able to handle just about anything you want to throw at it. What's nice is that it's going to be completely hidden whenever we're not using it, but really accessible whenever we are ready to use it. Now as far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad, believe it or not. Everything's pretty easy to get to and straightforward, so it shouldn't take you a whole lot of time to install it yourself. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put it on together now. To begin our install, we're going to be underneath the back of our Envision, and first thing we're going to do is remove this little center panel here. So that's going to be held in place by 2 T15 Torx bit screws, one on each corner. And pull those out. Should be able to grab our panel and kind of work it down. And we just set it off to the side. Now we can loosen up our fascia a little bit to give us some more room to work. So we're going to remove this T15 screw here. As well as this one right here over on the other side. Now we can remove the very bottom nut right here, just below our bumper beam. And we're going to do that using a 15mm socket. Now I want to mention, anything we do from this point on to this side of our Buick, we're also going to do on the other side because it's all set up the same way. I'm going to make sure to hold on to this nut because we are going to be reinstalling it. Now we can fish wire our hardware into the frame rail. So this is going to be our actual attachment point, and the larger hole behind it is going to be the access hole. So the way to get the hardware in place, if you take the coiled end of your fish wire, put it through the smaller hole, and just pull it out of the larger hole there. What we're going to do is take a spacer block, slide that over the coiled end. We're going to take our carriage bolt and thread that on to the pull wire. Then we can feed our hardware up inside of the frame rail. Pull down on the fish wire and have it drop through like this. Now with an extra set of hands, we can raise our hitch into position. So we're going to take our pull wire and feed it through this hole in the hitch. You can raise it up. You may have to kind of pull out on your fascia there. The way this is going to work though is this hole in the hitch is going to go over that bumper stud. Like that. Get our other hardware to drop out through that opening. And for the bumper stud there, we're just going to take our factory nut that we removed and get that going hand tight. Now you want to do this on each side, that way the hitch will support itself. Once we have those tight, we can move back to our carriage bolt here. I'm going to remove the fish wire. We're going to take a flange nut and get that going as well. Now if you're having a hard time getting the flange nut going because the bolt wants to push back up into the frame, what you can do is just take a small screwdriver and kind of apply some side pressure to that bolt, and that'll keep it steady so you can get the nut started. Now that we have all of our hardware in place and hand tight, we can come back and snug it all down. And to tighten down the flange nuts, we're going to use a 19mm socket. And now we can come back with a torque wrench and tighten all the hardware down to the amount specified in our instructions. Now that we have our hitch torqued down, we can reinstall these fasteners here to secure the bottom of our fascia. So these will just run back in. And if you're ready to use your hitch right away, you can leave your panel off. Or if you're not going to use it for a little while, you can take your center panel, simply just pop that back into place and resecure it. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Curt Class III Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2016 Buick Envision.